हरामी गैंग यहाँ पूके सब हरा माल रहते वक्त यहाँ आके रहती सबकी लाल चिल्लम का टान मारो बॉम्ब वाला शॉट समर और विंटर हमेशा रहते हॉट लॉन्डियों को भाव नहीं सकती अपना स्वैग में भी आके कभी देख I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger जिगरी जो यार है चाहे तो चार है सब वफादार यहाँ फाड़ देते गाड़ है उंगली करे कोई हमें उंगली उनकी तोड़ दे दूर रहता उनसे जो लोग मतलब में मुंह मोड़ दे भाई पगला गया गाना मेरा सुन वो भी बोले मेरा भाई I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रस्ते पे मैटर है लेते हम क्या करे टॉमी करे बाकी यहाँ बैठा एक वैकर है सांप पर जगह धोखा देते साथ रह करे साथ देखो माया मेरे पागल तरह पर पैसे नहीं पास में आए होते घास में लगते हैं प्यास I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger खत्म हरामी गैंग यहाँ पूके सब हरा माल रहते वक्त यहाँ आके रहती सबकी लाल चिल्लम का टान मारो बॉम्ब वाला शॉट समर और विंटर हमेशा रहते हॉट लॉन्डियों को भाव नहीं सकती अपना स्वैग में भी आके कभी देख I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger जिगरी जो यार है चाहे तो चार है सब वफादार यहाँ फाड़ देते गाड़ है उंगली करे कोई हमें उंगली उनकी तोड़ दे दूर रहता उनसे जो लोग मतलब में मुंह मोड़ दे भाई पगला गया गाना मेरा सुन वो भी बोले मेरा भाई I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रस्ते पे मैटर है लेते हम क्या करे टॉमी करे बाकी यहाँ बैठा एक वैकर है सांप पर जगह धोखा देते साथ रह करे साथ देखो माया मेरे पागल तरह पर पैसे नहीं पास में आए होते घास में लगते हैं प्यास I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger खत्म हरामी गैंग यहाँ पूके सब हरा माल रहते वक्त यहाँ आके रहती सबकी लाल चिल्लम का टान मारो बॉम्ब वाला शॉट समर और विंटर हमेशा रहते हॉट लॉन्डियों को भाव नहीं सकती अपना स्वैग में भी आके कभी देख I'm a black nigger I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger रांची के स्ट्रीट से हाथों में वीड है हेडफोन में बीट बजे कागज में गीत लिखे ब्लैक निगर I'm a black nigger जिगरी जो यार है चाहे तो चार है सब वफादार
Hello, people. I'm actually having my dinner right now. It is 9:37 p.m. over here. I wanted to bring to the fore of all the people, including some ninja watchers, like real femme sapien, as to what they have actually missed. Hmm. Ironically, something interesting actually happened. Mr. Iridium Kush, the OG, went on the channel of Real Femme Sapien and tried to ask her. I mean, they are the ones actually advocating for marriage. So, Mr. Iridium Kush did the right thing of asking, I mean, really asking regarding what is the point of marriage in this day and age. He just asked a question, and you could see Mr. Hyde coming out of some of the people. Oh Lord, I have to do the multitasking sometimes, and it is not beneficial at all, especially when you have a spoon and a plate in your hand and you are eating. So I did the right thing and asked about marriage. And there was an exchange, not verbatim per se, but clearly an exchange of words. And that actually escalated a little bit from the side of real femme sapien who could not tell the details and the benefits of the marriage for a man. Clearly, with vim and verve, with vim and verve, she was trying desperately to actually authenticate her own point, which actually culminated into her authenticating the point of Mr. Iridium Kush in general. And that was the end of it. Because, as far as I know, she could not answer the question some of the time, And some of the time she had to agree with the genuine grievances of people in general, and she had to actually agree with what Mr. Iridium Kush had to say. They had a few exchange of arguments. Normally, people like, I mean, it is below, it is not below, the appropriate word would be, it is beneath the stature of people like Mr. Iridium Kush. But if you see, Mr. Iridium Kush is a gentleman, and he is actually a man who cares for other men. That is one of the reasons why he went over there and actually told her, "Hello, Mr. Eric." So he asked her a question, just like George Clooney was asking a question to in that famous movie scene. Okay, sell marriage to me. And Mr. Iridium Kush, being looking like an 80s rock star, I mean, he asked her a question regardless. What is the benefit of a man for marrying someone? She could not answer. Why she could not answer? Because she completely bypassed to recognize, realize, and address the elephant in the room. That is the draconian laws and the police state we live in. And Mr. Iridium Kush, being a smart engineer who has a degree in finance as well, an MBA, went for the jugular in this case. Hold on a second. Oh, my favorite, Mr. Poles Kebab. Look who is here. All my people. Uh, just a second. I will be dropping the plate in the kitchen sink and coming back to address and let get this party started. Let us get this party started. Because I have a lot to say on this very point. Okay, I'm back because now I'm actually angry. I usually don't get angry at a dumb sperm receptacle, but now today I am angry. Why? Because some people add insult to the injury that has been caused by them towards people of other gender. Let me set up the preface by saying this. The preface is all women are beneficiaries of feminism by default, and no nonsense about it. Now, oh, I forgot. Happy New Year to all the people. And even though it is 4th of January, I I was so preoccupied with my proclivities that I actually missed the bus on wishing everyone a very happy new year from my channel. So, happy new year to each and everyone. And yes, I mean, I would be totally fine with that. Again, coming back to the topic, which is a much more serious discussion. All the brainstorming analyses of the world that we have done so far uh, cannot be comprehended by some sperm receptacle, monkey branching sperm receptacle, but at least let us give her the benefit of the doubt that she has quote unquote settled down or whatever, because all these perra loca puta madres of the world have a habit of settling down with the winner, and that's it. They would rather be a mistress of a successful man than be with an average man. At least that is what I know of all these puro Latinas of the world. But anyways, let us not have prejudices and biases before even starting the arguments that have been advanced, and listen to what they have to say and what she had to say. So I'm sharing my screen. And for all those people who think that they could add their 2 cents, I have actually given the link in the chat. I would again give the link in the chat. And that's it. Let us go to the video. This is the so called real femme sapien, the mythified real femme sapien with all the cows in the background. She's sitting so matronly and coyish with her, specs. I don't know whether it is of reading or seeing. Uh, I don't know whether it is a plus or minus, but it seems that she suffers from myopic, short sighted vision regarding things when it comes to the things she seems to proclaim as an expert. For example, marital counseling. Now, matrimonial disputes, marital counseling, marriage counseling, or call it what you will, these people, all these female life coaches, think that by they cannot tell a woman the reality of the world just because they are in shape, they are fertile, they have monkey branched from one man to another and jumped the ship. So they think that women have become morbidly obese. They know a fact, they know for a fact that you cannot body shame a woman to lose weight. They know for a fact that you cannot tell a woman that she is a lazy bum who cannot even put hot food on the plate. But she would definitely know what is the lucrative business. That is what Spetsnaz, of all people, predicted back in 2015, that anti-feminism is would become the new feminism. He predicted back in how many years ago? 7 years ago, in 2015. He predicted it back then because it had become a very lucrative business for women to talk about men's issues, whether it is regarding their personal issues, whether it is regarding their bedroom issues, whether it is regarding their physiological issues, whether it is regarding to the issues that have been suffered by them as traumatic as something, whether it is a shell shock, she being from the military, having done the act of donning a uniform, she might have known that as to what happens when a man suffers from a shell shock. Obviously, she would have held the M16 and fired a couple of bullets. She got the training, but she didn't get her, limbs blown off, just like a man would get his testicles blown up by the landmines, isn't it? She didn't get her uterus destroyed by the landmine because she might not had been in the selective services. I mean, mail only draft has been rendered unconstitutional via the efforts of a man who was a men's rights activist who got it declared from a federal court. And it was even then too little too late because women like these, sperm receptacles like these, are never ever going to sign up for the selective services. Of course, they are going to become a 3-star general, 4-star general, Medal of Honor recipient. I mean, all the gallantry awards that you could think of. Because even Corporal Emma has two moms today. She would be hashtag smashing the patriarchy and breaking the gender stereotypes. But anyways, let us see as to what she has to say, because the essence is in the substance is about to come.
On the next caller. Okay. So, hello. I don't know how to address you. You're muted.
You got me now?
Yeah, I do. Hello.
All right. Hey, just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. How old are you again? Like,
27.
can I just ask any questions? I looked in the description. I didn't see anything specific about
Yeah, if they're
subject matter.
normal.
So just general. Yeah, just Okay. I'm 50 years old. I've never been married. What
Mhm.
incentive is there for me to get married to like someone your age today?
I mean, there's probably like, so here's my thing. I asked my husband this. My answer to you is that there's probably no incentive. That's my answer, right?
So she actually agrees. She actually agrees. It is around. So she actually agrees with what Mr. Iridium Kush has to say. In the first instance, a knee jerk reaction is yes, there is no incentive. Again, just like anything else, there is always a caveat, isn't it? Let us listen further.
Unless there's a good marriage.
Unless provided, because the reason being, but all these ad hominems are used by the people who want to make a case for them from a humanitarian standpoint. I mean, I have seen much of the time terrorists, when they are tried in courts and somewhat somewhere else, all of all across the world, in Russia, all these people who had that insurgency in the entire Caucasian region, they always used to cry about their human rights after mercilessly and ruthlessly killing and pillaging uh, a town or a village full of innocent people, be it in Middle East or be it in the Indian subcontinent region or be it in anywhere else where terrorism is. When they are caught alive with a great deal of hard work and effort by the special forces or something, they always cry about their human rights being infringed upon. I mean, what sort of human rights or what sort of human rights are there for a terrorist? I don't know. Perhaps there could be, but they would not have annulled their own human rights before killing someone else. I'm just drawing a similar analog in that regard. So, from terrorism, I gave the example, and this woman, this real femme sapien who is sitting over here, I wanted to address and make a video tagging her as well for the past 7 to 8 months. It is just that I could not find the time, energy, or even the relevance of doing that. But since I do now, I would certainly make more videos tagging her. Whether it is that OnlyFans model, what is that her name? Roma Army Men's Rights. Assuming that men have any rights at all, after the Texas Supreme Court has actually taken away the rights of a father like Mr. Jeff Younger to get his son extradited from California, who has been coerced by his mother to transition via a butcher masquerading as a competent surgeon and chopping off his testicles. In plain and simple terms, we walla feminism.
A content marriage. I asked my husband that. Here's my thing. I-
If you have already given a succinct reply, and how old is she? I'm in my mid 30s. I think she might be in her 20s. So, a former base 8 now has become, you know, a stay at home housewife or whatever, and she's still making content as a content creator and has set up a shop to tell men to do the right thing. And all these men actually are agreeing with her. There are many simps in the world. Why? Because it is in our biological imperative to gravitate towards someone who feels a little bit more feminine. Because just like a rechargeable battery, that is what happens to us. What subconsciously we are trying to do is we are trying to fuck them in plain and simple terms. But again, what we don't realize is she is already taken and she has already monkey branched. Whatever. Yet, still, she would have the audacity and the nerve to tell men to do the right thing and wife up all these women who are from the world's oldest profession. But certainly, she cannot tell women the obvious things. And she cannot address the elephant in the room. That is the draconian laws.
unless there's the possibility that you can have a good marriage, a content marriage. I asked my husband that you getting into.
This woman who said Kate Ann or whatever her name is, why would any woman want to marry a 50-year-old man with a wig? Darling, if you would not have seen his bank account, and assuming that I'm not giving away any of the financial details, that chap has, that gentleman actually has an MBA in finance as well, apart from his degree in chemical engineering. So he is the creme la creme of the engineers as well. And till the age of 50 years old, he has conserved, he has not wasted money. So he knows a thing or two about life in terms of experience more than you do. You could be judgmental towards him, but is that factually correct? Certainly not. But hey, it is very easy to, issue a sermon from your ivory tower for the rest of the benighted heathen i.e., men in general, isn't it? After all, your lady boss, your boss bitch, actually wants to be the next female version of the Kevin Samuels. Image consultant, female life coach, life guru, or whatever.
Frank, he just told me like I married you because he wanted because he loved me enough to marry me. So that's my setup.
So, in other words, your own husband loved you enough to marry you, but you did not provide any incentive to him, which you could outside the relationship. After all, you could have children with him without getting married. You could live with him, cohabitate without getting married. And for 10 years, if you are living with him, you would be de facto considered his wife, legally, of course, so that he could provide for your alimony, palimony, child support, and whatever, plus a license to sleep around in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, isn't it?
Setup in my situation. I don't think
Okay.
everybody should get married. I don't even think everybody has the temperament to get married.
No, but some Puerto Rican, puta madre perra locas of the world do, because it is considered as a shame in the Latino culture if you are not married. Latino culture was very patriarchal, still could be. I don't know because I don't live in that part of the world. But certainly, you have to pass a judgment on a man via your moderator or whatever she is, and call that a 50-year-old man with a wig. Darling, that man looks absolutely handsome and fantastic. Ask a heterosexual man like me. That gentleman over there, that chap over there, he looks like an 80s rock star. Now, we cannot say the same about you, who would be having your OnlyFans account. Or even if you are one of the women who would be having the exact same stature like him, i.e., being a chemical engineer plus having an MBA degree in finance. So, what? Generally, it is not true. All women are her women and simps army. All women are her moderators.
There's like ups and downs. It's the biggest self-improvement project that you'll ever take. But the only benefit I could see to a man is that the one that you're dating or in a relationship with, she might be a better partner because she takes pride in being your wife versus being a
So, if women are so inclined towards marriage, why uh, 80 to 85% of no fault divorces are filed by women? Just like during the prenuptial agreement, they could say and get away with adventurism that it was signed under duress. Is that also signed under duress? The no fault divorce? Or is it one of your proclivities? I mean, not as in you in particular, but your kind, your species, your gender, your sex. i.e., female, fem sapien.
A girlfriend. And that's what I think would be the incentive if she's that kind of person, but only you would know or be able to tell.
Oh, so you're saying there's no incentive for me at all to do that?
Um,
Basically,
I don't like you're not Christian, are you?
yes, I am. I'm Catholic.
Judgmental. Judgmental and being judgmental actually does wonders for women because that is how the whole sign language starts: shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Actually, for most of the people who don't know for a fact, it was invented by some chap on a banned website which had been pulverized into smithereens called MGTOW.com. It was an earlier website back in the days of 2015, 2016, 2017. In 2017, when Anti Defamation League and Southern Poverty Law Center labeled MGTOW philosophy as a quote unquote hate group, domestic terrorists, anti Semitic, and every name in the book was thrown at them. That is when the website was also taken down by the government authorities. Why? Because perhaps they might have been providing some solutions worldwide. I don't know. Otherwise, why would anyone's voice would be taken down? Just because you could do that does not mean that you are right. It is just that you might be afraid as to what the person might say. Anyways,
Like,
Oh, well then, I mean, you should probably get married, yeah. But like, you're asking me if
what
there's
do you mean?
incentive.
What do you mean I get married? Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, I think God's plan for most of us who follow His faith, and I'm not Catholic, but I think the plan usually is that you get married so that you can have children, so that you can have more Christians.
is that the reason why all these people are soul harvesting in other parts of the world? All these World Vision and other charitable, evangelical, Christian missionary organizations are planting a church where there is not even a single Christian halfway across the globe, and they do not take care about more Christians who are living in a Christian country, in a Judeo-Christian, a nation which is built on Judeo-Christian values. Or is it a fact that most of the churches are being uh, dismantled and restructured as bars and you know arcade gaming and other things in the West? Why? Because Christianity has died. Why? Because there is no God in marriage. Just like sex has been deracinated from procreation, that is how even Christianity has been deracinated from patriarchal standards, isn't it? So having more Christians would be completely irrelevant if Christianity would not be followed in its essence. And the essence of Christianity is a man, woman, and a child. The man is the one who leads in the relationship, which is completely true according to even nature. Even if some atheist would consider as Darwin as and his evolutionary biology as his forte, he cannot say that there is not a clear recognition of hunter gatherer phenomena even within the animal kingdom. But why is it a fact that for a specific religion, that hunter gatherer phenomena is not there in the first instance? Why it becomes a problem when someone questions as to why any man with a conscience, any man who is self conscious, any man who is aware of the rest of the world regarding his surroundings, regarding his vicinity, regarding his regarding the state of affairs of the country or the environment he's living in, why would he marry? Because men are driven by incentives. What is the incentive? I mean, I would not had this uh, analysis if you would had been a virgin woman, or if we followed the examples of the Paleolithic age from 10 to 20,000 years ago, and that's it. But that is not the case in 2023. Certainly, isn't it?
Well,
Unless
that may be God's plan, but is that necessarily my plan?
it might not be. No, I don't know. Like
Uh,
you were just calling in. We're just
Yeah.
talking.
How long have you been married?
I got married in February.
Okay, so you've been married.
So she got married in February last year. Um, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I mean, she has been literally married to uh, her current husband for 11 months. And now, all of a sudden, she is an expert on marriage counseling. I mean, given the fact that we are not taking into account her previous marriage with her ex husband, that does not mean that. I mean, current marriage is what matters. So let us take 11 months of experience. She might have had all these experiences in the world. All right. I mean, even a month is enough to turn a whore into a housewife, isn't it? Manifestation, and via manifestation, it would turn into a reality, which is a Western malice, by the way, because they have been taught to think of a certain way for so long that they thought after the French Revolution that if they would think completely the opposite, that it would somehow manifest into reality. Well, it is nothing of the kind. We already know that.
Married.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
you've been
So that
you've
I
been
would
married.
probably
Yeah, so you've been married for a year. I
okay.
see you charge people for your services. Is that correct?
Yes, if they would.
Um,
Okay, so not only she gives marriage counseling or matrimonial counseling to men in general, she also charges them. I mean, what is the difference between her and a divorce lawyer? In India, we call them as matrimonial lawyer. Even the Supreme Court of India refers to them in citations and judgments as legal terrorists. So, what is the difference between her and a legal terrorist? The answer is nothing. They are cut from the same cloth. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, what is happening in the chat? Oh my god, K10 is spicy. TN, let's be civil, please. It's not a good look for mods to be cheeky. And Kate Ann is saying, Shane Nolan. Traditionally, it was common for a woman to be pregnant when she got married. Also, many women were widowed. Traditionally, it was common for a woman to be pregnant when she got married. No, traditionally, men never used to marry non virgin women. Traditionally, men never used to marry widows. Traditionally, men never used to marry porn stars. Traditionally, men never used to kowtow in front of the golden vagina and the pussy power. Well, now they do. Not because of any external factor or anything like that. The draconian laws are responsible for that, which people like you don't want to do away with. Because you know, you would be at the receiving end of the short stick.
They want to.
Yeah, so you've been married for a year. How does that make you an expert on marriage counseling if you've been married for a year?
Well, I don't claim to be an expert on marriage counseling. I just claim that I can give you a perspective on life if you so choose, because this is
Okay, so rewind.
marriage counseling. I just claim that I can give you a perspective on life if you so choose, because this is capitalism and people determine the value of the good.
And people determine the value of the good. Actually, people don't determine the value of the good. You do. That is why you are charging them. It is the Petro principle or something which is called that the market decides the value of the car. It is not people, it is the market that decides. Again, bumptious young fools actually commit such a grave mistake when they are selling a product. Anyways,
So if people think that the value, the good, which would be an hour of my time, if they think that that's worth the value, they can pay that. If they don't think it's worth the value, they don't have to pay that. It's fine.
you don't say that up front, do you? And how many women are there who are some sort of a quote unquote born again virgin like you? Anyways, you are a born again virgin. You were married before marrying to your current husband. But again, it is absolutely fine for people like you to actually charge men who have an average income from $45,000 to $55,000. I mean, what is the tariff? Why don't you charge women? Then you would say, oh, I charge women as well. I am a marriage counselor for all the genders. Is it? Really? I don't know. I don't think so. You know what is a lucrative business, and you have set up shop over here. You have set up shop in the men's circles. And you know that. You have done that deliberately. You are not dunce or idiotic. You have done that deliberately. Masquerading as a female version of Camille Samuels. At least that man, that so called image consultant, actually used to charge both men and women the same.
Okay. It just seems that surprises me that someone with that kind of experience would be would want to. I don't know. I see that as kind of taking advantage of people
Oh, I
personally.
see people as autonomous adults who can make their own decision with their finances.
Oh, yeah, surely. I see people as responsible adults who also subscribe to OnlyFans. I mean, if you would see more lucrative business over there, you would transition from being a marriage counselor to an OnlyFans model, just like that Christian female pastor who actually gave up being a church minister, and she, got into her feminine pussy power energy and became a OnlyFans model. She is now making $120,000 or something for the last 2 years over there on OnlyFans. People make money on TikTok. People make money on Pornhub. Big deal. All playing on the insecurities of men, poor men who think that you would give them something substantial to hold on to without realizing the fact that you people charge them an arm and a leg, and eventually take their intestines out. You people gouge out the intestines of a man, and not only you, whether it is that retired pickup artist Rolo Tomasi, whether it is all that entrepreneurs in cars, whether it is that Cuck Murphy who goes by the name the Seminole Order or whatever, all these people charge an arm and a leg. as if you people have something substantial on your part to deliver. Ah, this is not a congenial experience on my part, but I have to go on.
And if they choose to spend money on me, they can. I've spent money on content creators. It's my
Okay, so have
decision.
I. Yeah, it's my decision too.
Yeah.
I just think that I think you're fooling people into a prospect that's not good for men, for young men these days.
That's
Do you
not,
know
I
that?
mean,
Do you know that 80% of divorces are initiated by women?
so first of all, that's a reference range, right?
No, 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 bitch. That is not a reference range. Since you didn't get the memo, I would give you statistics from 20 years ago. And this is from National Organization of Women and AOL. Sorry, come again. What? Oh, I would reiterate it for women who have a hearing problem or tinnitus. National Organization of Women and AOL. And listen to this carefully. And this has been quoted, referenced in the book of Mark Rudolph as well, Under the Clitoral Hood, 20 years ago. According to National Organization of Women and AOL, 55% of married women cheat on their husbands. So these were the statistics in 2002, after 9/11. I don't know what you were doing back then. I was a little child, probably a teenager. Yes, I was. 55% of married women cheat on their husbands. Uh, 80 to 85% of women file a no fault divorce, which has been facilitated by the blue eyed boy of the God country family loving conservatives and trad cucks, who goes by the name Ronald Reagan. Everyone wants to emulate that bastard, that conniving bastard. Anyways, 80 to 85% of women file a no fault divorce, and in 90 to 95% of cases, 90 to 95% of cases, women get the child custody. So your flesh and blood is taken away from you. You have to fight in court for child visitations. Even after the court order, the court does nothing, blah, 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 and the list goes on. So you would tell me that that is not a reference range, as if you know the ins and outs of how a survey is done, how the sampling is done, how the graph is made, how the charts are made, what is x axis and what is y axis. You know all of that. No, it is not a reference range. It could only be the case of what you are trying to prove when the no fault divorce is signed under duress or filed under duress on a woman's part. It never happens. And you have the gall to actually tell a man that that is a reference range. Do you bloody even know the meaning of a reference range?
All we know is that over 50% of the time, for certain,
No, 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 no. In totality, in entirety, 80 to 80%, 85% of no fault divorces are filed by women. since you didn't get the memo. And these are the statistics of National Organization of Women. Kindly hear me out again, since in case you might be having tinnitus. National Organization of Women. Women. Yes, sperm receptacles like you. And AOL. Google that. Since you clearly have internet.
that women are filing for divorce. We know that it's over half.
80%. It's 80%.
It's not just 80%. It can be as low as
Just 80%? I mean, just 80%? Do you know the meaning of the word just? It means that it is authentic, it is justified. That is why it is called as just 80%. Imagine a man saying that women are raped and violated just 80% of the time. Oh, terrorists actually are able to kill just 80% of the time while committing a terror attack on any city, any establishment, any enterprise, or any country, or whatever. Just 80%. Hitler was able to kill just 80% of the Jewish population in Auschwitz and the concentration camps. Joseph Stalin was able to kill just 40 million people in gulags in the erstwhile Soviet Union. Mao Zedong, during the Great Leap Forward, was able to kill just 60 million people. As if these are not people, these are not human beings. Sounds crass, isn't it?
65%. It can be as high as 90%. It's
The average range, since you don't know anything about the average range, uh, and I don't want to go into a statistics lesson which I learned in my graduation degree. It is actually that you make out the probability, not the possibility, but a probability regarding that. And for ascertaining the probability, you have to first take out the average. And the average is 65 to 90 divided by how much? Well, you already know. And since you know that, I know for a fact that you are doing this deliberately. You are not dunce. In law of evidence, we call this as connivance. You are acting like a hostile witness, trying to defend the indefensible. In the chat, I think this is entertaining. Yes, you want drama, isn't it? Sperm receptacles always like drama. Boom, true, we make our own choices. Oh, does that include the part where you sleep around as well? Ah, next time you hashtag me too someone, I would keep that in my mind. I think there is an increase in a man's status in having a wife that makes you look good. Not for a born again virgin, sir, or madam, whatever, they, them, call it what you will, birthing persons.
It's across multiple
No,
studies.
that is not across multiple studies. Since you don't know the statistics, let me again reiterate for the willfully blind and willfully deaf and dumb people like you. According to National Organization of Women and AOL, 55% of married women cheat on their husbands. 80 to 85% of women file a no fault divorce, and in 90 to 95% of cases, women get the child custody plus a license to sleep around. Alimony, palimony, child support, I'm not even including that. The average alimony is $750 per month. You could ask all these Hollywood celebrities as to how much they have to pay as divorce settlements. But hey, this is entertaining for your moderators. This is entertaining for your people from the jester class. This is entertainment. That is why you are here. You are not here for giving really good counseling. You are here just to mooch off men, prey on their insecurities. And you are not the first one to do that. You shall not be the last. But yes, you are one of the many.
Only
Still,
thing,
it's the majority. It's still a majority
yes,
of
it's
women
still,
file
yeah,
for divorce. Is that
it's
correct?
not,
Can
yeah,
we
that's
agree on
great.
that?
Yeah, yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So is that so? Why would that incentivize me to get? Why would I want to get married
I mean,
and then run
are
the
you
risk of?
dating?
Yeah, I'm asking you questions.
Well,
Why would
you're
I
talking
want
about
to?
marriage. I'm
Yeah.
asking, are you dating?
No. No. Oh, you asked me if I'm dating. I thought you said, "Are you debating?" I'm sorry.
No, no,
No,
no.
I'm not
I try
dating.
not to
I'm not
debate
dating.
people.
No, no,
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
I
dating.
mean, so you're not dating, but you wanted to advise other men.
Uh, this man, this John Doe of a man who says that get a prenup, dude, if you are that worried about it. Well, there is a comedian who goes by the name Chris Brown, bigger and blacker. Stand up comedian. Do you know he had a prenuptial agreement for 20 years? First of all, they are thrown out of the courtrooms because family court. Let me educate you people on that. As Dr. Carnell Smith said it the best, I'm paraphrasing him. Family court is not a court of law, it is a court of equity. It is not a court of law. Criminal court is a court of law. Civil court is a court of law. Constitutional bench is a court of law. But family courts are courts of equity. Nothing more, nothing less. So, coming back to the Chris Brown case, Chris Brown had a prenuptial agreement of 20 years, 2020, in case you didn't get the memo. So, you could look it up for further references. His wife filed for divorce 20 years and 1 month later, 20 years and 1 month later. So that is the status of your successful prenuptial agreements. Another one is asking, are you marriageable, sir? Uh, well, he is asking for a man, not him in particular. He is using himself as an example to exemplify to the people that there is no incentive for a man to get married in this day and age. And she has agreed with him. Even as a knee jerk reaction, she spilled the beans. Your queen bee actually spilled the beans in the first instance, even though she did it, she did the right thing for the wrong reasons. She said that. Women are the gatekeepers of sexual intercourse. Men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Everyone knows that. So if men don't want to marry, men don't want to sign a piece of paper in that family court, then they don't value that piece of paper. It doesn't mean that your value has appreciated or depreciated. They don't value that piece of paper that they have to sign. Rini, all I want. He doesn't value Ali's time regarding consultations, and that's okay. No one is forcing him to pay for a consultation. Well, but she is charging other people. And they are paying. People pay for OnlyFans as well. So, shall I lump up your marriage counselor with women from the one of the world's oldest profession? I mean, because both are women, biologically speaking, both are birthing persons, isn't it?
who are dating, whether or not they're married.
I don't think they should.
Okay,
This day and age.
you're
I
allowed.
don't-
And here comes the Captain Savaho. You are 50 years old. Where is your frame? Son, he is of the age of your father and the age of this thought's father. So at least give him the respect regarding that as well. And if you are not impressed by what he has accumulated in terms of resources over the years, you would be amazed to know how many women actually would throw themselves up on this gentleman just to have his child.
I think men think that men should get married. What's the incentive for it? I mean, the man has everything to lose, the woman has everything to gain.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I mean,
what's the
predicated that
incentive?
you marry a good.
Predicate? I mean, I actually want to look at the Oxford Dictionary, not the Harvard Dictionary, and the old Oxford Dictionary. Predicate. What is the meaning of predicate? A part of sentence containing a verb that makes a statement about the subject of the verb, such as went home in John went home. What is she saying? Predicate? Let me hear it once again. Rewind, rewind.
Everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I mean,
what's the
predicated that
incentive?
you marry a decent human being.
Predicated? Really? Women from Thailand would make a great wife? Women from Thailand actually please you over there because you spend money over there. And do you think that all these women who know only three tricks in the bedroom would actually be a good wife? The delusion of you people across the Western Hemisphere is quite astounding, by the way. Marissa 2.0, he wants to fight, not converse. Well, he's not fighting, he is putting forth his argument, and your queen, or whatever you consider her, boss babe, boss bitch, whatever, uh, she has to look at her grammar because currently she is prevaricating. I don't know whether she is predicating, but she is certainly prevaricating and dilly dallying all the way.
Being and not a narcissistic like witch. Okay.
Yeah, those are there in this country. There aren't narcissistic witches.
Okay, like what I'm saying,
Can
predicated.
you didn't answer my
No,
question.
I can't. Okay, give me the criteria, and then I can go and try to find some numbers. But if you're talking about like,
Give you the criteria and you would try to find those numbers. You know that how many percentage of divorces, no fault divorces, are filed by women. Is that not a good enough criteria, or is it outside of your purview? Is that expediency, or is that expression of your quote unquote values as a born again virgin married woman? No one cares if you married, bro. Then why do you have to write in capital letters if no one cares? Certainly you do, because he is spilling the beans. He is calling out the bluff on her own channel, and she cannot defend that. She cannot defend the indefensible. And these guys are actually agreeing with him. Dating is horrible right now. Look at this Captain Savaho. Bruh, you are not even dating. Well, why would he? because women would throw themselves up on him anyways, including your wife or girlfriend. Try it sometimes. This guy claims to be Catholic but doesn't seem to have very Catholic values, like playing the game of make believe. He is not playing that game. He is being very realistic instead of being idealistic, unlike you, and much to your dismay. Again, get a prenup, dude. That levels the playing field you are worried about. Excuse me, Mr. John Doe or Jane Doe or whatever. You don't know that half of the time prenups are thrown out of the courtrooms. Tom Likas used to talk about it back in the 90s. Now, since you didn't get the memo, I would again reiterate the case of Chris Brown. He had a prenuptial agreement of 20 years. His wife filed for divorce 20 years and 1 month later, just to encash that. Again, this invincible extreme muscle scar garage. Dude is a basement dweller. Nobody's lining up to marry him. This is exactly the typical modus operandi of every of these blue-pilled trad cucks and conservatives of the world, who always, propound this notion of God, country, family. God, country, family. But in the end, they end up like these bastards over here who would be shaming a man into submission, saying that there is something wrong with him, instead of addressing the obvious, stating the obvious, that is the draconian laws that have been put in place via activism and in collaboration with the state. Women are the backstabbers. All women are the beneficiaries of feminism by default. And you have the audacity to tell a man that he's a basement dweller? Even if he's a basement dweller, well, first of all, he certainly is not. He's a chemical engineer and has an MBA in finance. And even if he was, much to your dismay, by the way, then certainly that is also the effect of feminism. But hey, calling that out actually doesn't matter anymore, because it is all about those warm, fuzzy butterflies in your stomach and all the dopamine hits that you get for that 30 seconds of ejaculation, isn't it? I mean, if you want to turn a Nelson's eye towards the problem, that is on you, brother. Because of ignorant people like you, all men have to suffer.
What is the
So you
mental?
so if a
Hold
guy
on, please, if you don't mind. You're asking me to like try to throw a number to the mental health of women.
Some people can't imagine a woman exists. Close call Canuck. Mr. Canuck or Miss Canuck or whatever, he, she, they, them, assuming that you have 97 plus genders, Uh, a good birthing person actually does not exist in today's world. Regarding the sperm receptacles, I'm not talking about the trans and that sort of thing, which the Canadian polity is interested about. I'm talking about the people amongst the sperm receptacles, including the host of this channel, who monkey branched from her ex-wife, uh, wife. No, she looks like a sperm receptacle. So how could she be? How could she have a wife? So she had a former ex-husband who used to be in the military, and then she monkey branched to his immediate superior. That is the woman whom you are trying to defend. I already know that, sitting 10,000 kilometers away. I mean, I don't know. They exist, sir. Please don't generalize. Oh, where are they? I mean, the ones who actually don't file for a no fault divorce, or who don't transition their sons into trans by coercing them into chopping off their genitals and testicles? You mean those sort of women? Where are they? I don't see much. The reason being, all women are beneficiaries of feminism by default. Yes, all women. All women. Good, bad, the ugly, everyone. For a fistful of dollars, for a few more dollars, they are always a sellout, a backstabber, including this specs wearing, holier than thou, self proclaimed marriage counselor.
Not prepared to do that at this moment. What I was saying
Well, I
before,
can't-
saying before I wasn't. I think that's okay. Great. Could say is educated to marry a good woman. You should get legacy. You should get respect. You should get a woman who is like exuberant and joyful to follow you and to serve you, who is happy to carry your babies, happy to like create life with you. Just I. But
Is that a cue you have taken from all the sapient novels of the 60s, like "And They Lived Happily Ever After"? Because that is not the case anymore. The biggest lie of human history is love. There is no love in this world. I would, ironically, I don't agree with cartoons, but I would agree with Rick and Morty, which says that love is just a chemical within your brain which tells you to breed. It is just that. Where is love? And for men, they are not loved unconditionally. Even mothers don't love their sons unconditionally.
matches to the end, and
That can't be a bad thing, you say? So, overall, it is wash, rinse, repeat regarding your manifestation crap about "and they lived happily ever after." Prince Rack. Good women do exist. Yes. Look. He is the definition of men sent their own way by the marketplace. Uh, Dear sperm receptacle darling, if you don't know, you would be amazed to know how many of high class women would be throwing themselves up on this man. But eventually, he is not interested in either of your vaginas. He has already he is already gotten laid, and he knows that as to what is what. Man, he might be too far gone at his aging. Too far gone? He is happy. He is happy as something else. He is the Pollyanna of America. It is just that your skewed perspective doesn't allow you to see how happy and blissful he is. He has inner peace, much to your dismay.
And she will take care of you whenever you're woman. She will go out and get it figured out. You have a partner for life.
Who does that? Certainly not you. Prince Rack, not gonna lie. Dude is cringe. We men don't claim him. You have already called him a man sent his own way. Shaming actually adds fuel to the fire on the other side because you are actually, first of all, you are trying to defend the indefensible, which is that you cannot address the elephant in the room, that is the laws. And second of all, even after turning a Nelson's eye towards the problem, you people are actually shaming him.
I'm not talking about your average marriage. Y'all can have average marriages. I don't care.
Oh, I like to have an average marriage. I am a high class hooker. Average marriage, I'm not interested in having average marriage. I'm solipsistic by nature. So that is why I would be monkey branching all the way to the 3 star, 4 star general someday. I mean, that is what they call it as the quote unquote next best thing, isn't it?
People must
Look,
not want
you're
a whole
getting
lot.
upset at me. You're
I'm just
freaking
talking
out.
fast. I'm just talking
You're
fast.
just getting you're getting flustered.
We're
I've just
talking-
been asking
okay.
you questions and
Keep up the good work, Queen. $2. Simping hard, man. This is called simping made easy. SME. Cucking made easy. CME. And she is also laughing because she knows that he is actually asking a very relevant question for which she doesn't have an answer.
you're getting upset. Look at
Right.
you. You're flipping out.
It's talking fast. I'm Puerto Rican.
No,
like,
no,
whatever.
no.
No, all the perra loca puta madres of the world, that they don't, speak that fast. Only a perra loca puta madre like you do. So don't lump in all the Puerto Ricans or the puro Latinas of the world in one basket.
That's an excuse. Being Puerto
Oh,
Rican's an
okay.
excuse.
Isn't you?
Well,
You're calling
that's
it
not
right.
something to do
All
with
right.
Puerto Ricans. That's you.
So predicate you marrying a good woman. Those are all the things that you should get. I hope that answers your question.
No, it doesn't, because you have 80%. Even if you get a prenuptial agreement, she could say she
Which most
signed
guys
that under
don't.
duress.
Which they don't. With the majority of these guys can't even afford prenup. So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So I'm a high class prostitute, and I would only sleep with men monkey branching through all the way who could at least afford a prenup. That is what I always say. Women are solipsistic by nature who actually would rather be a mistress of a successful man, or who are the top 20% of men in general, rather than be with an average man who belongs to the rest of the 80%.
Why get married if they can't even afford?
They don't. My channel's for people who want to get married. They don't want to get married. Don't get married on other channels.
Yeah, I'd say all the things I'm explaining are good reasons to not do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say don't get married out there, guys, because this is what you're going to be dealing with.
Oh, okay.
And look, the attitude she gave me, I was just answering.
Sir,
I was
I mean, you're just
questions.
Okay, look, you've called in before, right? You've been rude in the chat. I keep up with your channel.
Okay, so you look at the smaller channels as well. I mean, but I thought that you are from one of the world's oldest profession. You don't care about average people, average Joes like uh, that gentleman over there. So you are sensitive about what other people might say about you. Oh, really? Why you are so sensitive? Who hurt you?
I go and I keep track of you in my chat, right? Which is probably okay. Like,
Which is probably what you want. I mean, isn't that being too much judgmental on your part? That he wants you to recognize him. Well, if you move out of your YouTube career, darling sweetheart, puta madre, you would be able to realize as to how respected he is within the society. As a civilian, of course.
you're not just a kind individual that showed up from the internet out of.
So you want good little boys who would not question the mommy and the boss bitch, isn't it? You want those sort of brainwashed, subverted, indoctrinated individuals and get them to the and lead them to the slaughterhouse, isn't it, darling? Your first victim was already your ex-husband, and your current victim is your current husband. What is his name, by the way? Ah, Ryan or something, isn't it?
No nowhere. You've called me a grifter. At a minimum, probably a grifter. Yeah, and it's like, when I know these things, and when you've called in, honestly, you don't seem to be that desirable of a man in the first place. Like, I wouldn't expect you to hold
you're
marriage
just
in a good
insulting me.
light.
You're just going and insulting me.
It's by the
You're
numbers.
insulting me. Why are
It's
you
by the
insulting me?
numbers.
By the numbers, darling, it would bring moisture in your vajayjay. It would bring moisture in your vagina as a natural born birthing person and a sperm receptacle if you would see his bank account. You would even leave your E7 husband right away by the drop of a hat. He is that successful in real life, unlike you, who has to earn being an attention whore on the internet.
Why are
It's
you
by the
insulting me?
numbers. Okay.
Why did you insult me?
You're
I didn't say
perceiving
anything
that.
insulting to you.
Okay.
I didn't say one disrespectful
If you're going to let
thing
me
you.
finish, if you're going to finish,
I didn't say one disrespectful thing. You just already called me unattractive. You've been condescending to me the whole time. Why?
why? Okay.
All I did was
now
ask you a few
condescending.
questions.
Mhm.
You've been said I'm not attractive. You said
You're
all kinds of
not.
disrespectful things.
I'm a
Yes, you
mid.
did.
You're not attractive. I'm a mid. You're not attractive.
I am a mid of what? Mid of being a woman who is at the downfall of her sexual marketplace value? Certainly, you are not attractive, bitch. Man would even fuck a milk bottle instead of you. Or even better, fix a milk bottle inside of your vagina and then fuck you through the milk bottle, but not fuck you in general. And your pussy does not rotate at 330 RPM anyways. But you have to be condescending towards a gentleman who is of the age of your father. Speaks volumes about you.
Like, what's the problem with that? Can't you say it all the time? A woman would call.
Oh, so you are trying to emulate uh, and become the female version of Kevin Samuels. He was a chemical engineer too, as a matter of fact. And this man over here, this gentleman over here, is also a chemical engineer as well as an MBA in finance. He knows a lot more about the engineering aspect as well as the financial aspect, even more than you do, even more than your E7 husband does. Current husband, by the way, your current victim.
onto his show. Like you're the kind of person that would ever have favorable feelings about relationships. It seems like you're the kind of person that would just have a lot of negative things to say about.
No, it seems that he is a realistic sort of a person who is looking at and not turning a Nelson's eye from the elephant in the room, that is the draconian laws, and he is addressing that regarding child visitations, regarding child custody, regarding alimony, palimony, child support, regarding adultery, regarding no fault divorce. And as we used to say, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Perhaps you are the kind of person who is trying to be willfully blind and turn a Nelson's eye towards the problem because it suits your agenda. And if you would do otherwise, it would be working against your own self interests. isn't it?
Relationships. It seems my point.
No, it doesn't seem like a bias. It seems like someone is being conscious regarding the whereabouts of marriage and relationships in general, much to your surprise, even more than you do.
And if I wasn't desirable in the dating market, I might be biased as well. That's why you'll see people that are biased in terms of being very desirable. They're definitely biased in the dating market. Like that's just how life is. It's not meant to be a direct insult. It's just
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that's my point.
you've just been rambling on and on and on. I've been sitting here calmly. I haven't lost my temper at you. I haven't done anything, and you're flustered. I mean, you're all flustered. Why?
Okay, so what else would you like to talk about?
I mean, look how. I mean, yeah. I'd just like to talk about the fact that there are 180 laws in divorce courts that favor women. How about
Okay.
that?
All right. Yeah, I know.
I know, but I chose to be ignorant enough so that I could sell you this manifestation lie of love and they lived happily ever after, which was since the days of the erstwhile Roman Empire or since the inception of human history. You are an incorrigible delinquent, darling. Incorrigible delinquent. That is what you are. You can't help yourself. Regarding the desirability, it would bring moisture in any woman's vagina. And if you think that you are the exception to the rule, you would be amazed to know how many women would throw themselves up on this man if they would see his bank balance. But hey, it's fine. It's okay for sperm receptacles like you to be ignorant as always.
I
I mean,
know.
that's insane. Have you ever heard the stories about guys who get into divorces,
Yeah.
lose half their stuff,
Yeah.
everything?
I mean, ask her ex-husband. He would have a story or two.
All that?
Yeah. And you know what Ryan thinks about that? He thinks that they could have put down the sugar. He thinks that they possibly could have held frame. He thinks that they possibly could have seen women.
Held frame, and E7 is holding a frame. Mr. E7, Mr. Ryan, wherever you are uh, doing your transgender training or whatever, walking a mile in her shoes, just like the US Marines, or gender transitioning right now to feel more in place with your feminine energy, I would like to inform you that holding a frame does not mean that the laws are going to be repealed and the rights of a man, the rights of a father, the rights of a husband are going to get reinstated. It is nothing of the kind. And look at the glaring hypocrisy that she is not going to tell women to put down the sugar and be in her feminine submissive energy. But she would have the audacity to tell a man who has worked hard and accomplished being an engineer and being a financial expert, knowing more than 5 languages in the world, to be as undesirable. And if you have been lurking around his channel, darling, you would know that he is an MBA in finance. Then you would know that he is a chemical engineer, making much more than your current E7 husband, to whom you monkey branched. You would know that certainly uh, your current husband would not be able to afford what he would be able to afford. And he is of the age of your father, asking you a very relevant question, which you have already answered. But you want to prolong that. You wanted to justify and authenticate that. You wanted it to be more bona fide, when in reality you have no locus standi.
Women for what they were and not what they wanted them to be. Like, it's mystery and a surprise. And I
Look
interviewed
at
a
you
divorced man.
look at you raising your voice to me.
Sir,
You're raising your voice.
okay.
What's wrong?
Let me lower my mic volume. Okay.
It's not about the mic volume. You're getting upset with me, and I'm not even. You're cool as a cucumber, and you're just flipping your gourd.
Okay. I have lowered my mic volume if that helps you. I have been a loud talker and a quiet talker on my channel on multiple occasions. But what I was saying before you interrupted me again is, like, Ryan holds a perspective that I believe. And it's like, there are things that men can do to prevent divorce if they're educated, but a lot of the
As well, I mean, current husband, after all, he is also his superior. I mean, E7 is greater than E5, isn't it? I mean, so certainly, kindly impart that level of wisdom which your husband has. And if Mr. Ryan, you are hearing, please impart that wisdom to that poor chap whom she left for you in the first instance.
of them just don't. Okay, because there's a moment in time with a woman, and women get married for who they think a man can become. They're both in for a huge surprise once they get into the relationship. But I do have to get to some next callers, if that's okay.
Oh, I'm sure you do. You don't. You seem
Wait, do
pretty
you want to see my
flustered.
screen? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8.
Yeah, and I'm
gentlemen
sure they
that-
will all willingly agree with everything you say. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Okay. Good grief, Charlie Brown. I see you, Rob. All right. So I'm gonna pull you on Wahlberger in a second. Okay, I'm gonna pull you on in a second. Look, people don't get worse on. I'm gonna put my mic volume back on. People worse on accident.
Oh, people don't get divorced on accident. Ex-husband, if you are listening, I don't believe that you would ever listen, but here is some wisdom that is being imparted by your ex-wife for you. So please listen.
Like, Men are not educated on how women are. And you know what? Like, I don't even think most women marry men that they want to marry. They marry men that they have to marry.
I mean, just like your ex-husband.
And they have to marry them because they didn't figure out romantic dating and they really want to have babies. And in order to have babies, they need some cash to do it. Okay, I get that.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the epitome of perspicacity. She is perspicacious enough. She gets it. She understands. That is why she monkey branched. I mean, she is well justified to do so because she herself is saying that. I mean, I don't have to analyze anything anymore. She is herself saying that.
Right. But I've never advocated for any of you, a woman who wasn't feminine, who didn't add value to your life.
How many of them there are? I mean, 80 to 85% of women, according to National Organization of Women and AOL, file a no fault divorce. They are not feminine, they are not submissive. And you also know that. It is just that you want to turn a Nelson's eye, turn a blind eye. Being willfully blind is a choice which you exercise when the time comes.
If you are such a, and I'm going to use this word, but it's something that I can think about. If you are such an ignorant pendejo and you
Ignorant pendejo. Well, perra loca puta madre like you. If that is the case, then why did you leave your ex-husband and monkey branch to an E7? Huh? Tell me, cabron. There are many sperm receptacles and puta madres like you all across the world. Okay? Don't think that you are fooling anybody. This is the reason why men don't want to get married.
marry a woman because you see what you want to see her and then you get played by that, you know what, you got to learn someday.
Well, your ex-husband learned the hard way, obviously.
You have to learn someday. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's ethical what women do, but I've never told you to just go out there and marry whoever is out there on the block. Okay. And when it comes to dating,
Well, that is what your ex-husband also did and learned the hard way.
you end up in a relationship you can attract. If you are trash, you will attract trash.
Does that also count your current husband as well as your ex-husband?
If you are,
Or does that count you and lump in together with your ex-husband and your current husband as trash? Because you are garbage. You are not attractive enough. Men talk to you because you have a vagina. And you also know that.
are of value, you will attract value. Point blank, period, the end. Now, the problem with some guys that I do have value is that they don't recognize it. That's one thing, right? But then when it comes to women, you know, they're not doing themselves any favors by not even just doing the bare minimum. Because you'll see women that'll go online, and this is the trad side of things. They think they're doing this great thing by being fit, friendly, cooperative, when that was the bare minimum like 100 years ago. Like,
Well, the same goes for women who go online like you. I mean, I don't see any difference why you would, distance yourself from the rest of the sperm receptacles when you are the one who is the self proclaimed, self appointed adjudicator as well as the marriage counselor, relationship expert, life coach, or a guru, or whatever, you are the one who is imparting this wisdom. I hope that you would had imparted this wisdom for your ex-husband before you got into a relationship with your ex-husband and you were single. Even then you were not a virgin, okay? So don't behave as if you are some Virgin Mary who has descended from the heavens, levitating over the rest of the benighted heathen, like all of us. You are clearly not.
What were you gonna do then? And personality as well. Like you have to bring more things to the table than the bare minimum. I'm sorry. So like you'll get what you find, right? And I actually do see that sometimes when these guys end a divorce, and this is just my observation.
Does this observation of yours include your ex-husband?
It's just my observation. Sometimes when these guys are hotter than them,
Does that include your ex-husband?
like you get older, you kind of realize some women are out of your league. But when these guys are young, they don't know.
Does that include your current husband? Because he also doesn't know.
You're like, she's gonna sleep with me. Yes, I'm gonna marry her tomorrow. And they just get got. So
Is that what happened in your case with your current husband?
it is what it is. But like per me getting annoyed and irritated, like it would be different if that guy that called in, and it doesn't look good on my part. I don't really care. But then it's like I start talking fast and he gives me attitude, but if I get attitude back, then I'm wrong. Like I'm not.
No, no, no. You are talking fast is your problem. You are saying that it is a problem amongst all the people in Puerto Rico. It is not a Puerto Rican or a Latino problem. It is your problem. It is your personal problem. You start talking fast so that other person who voluntarily came forward on your platform to have a conversation with you, wanted to have a conversation with you, and you answered him up front. Again, but there is always a caveat that you would add to justify that it is just 80%.
Not gonna be submissive to you. I'm submissive to my husband. I'm all messed up. Like I'm submissive to my husband and to my God. Not
Well, it doesn't look like you are submissive to anybody. You were not even submissive to your ex husband. So, what is the guarantee that you are not going to leave your current husband for the quote unquote next best thing? Huh?
a stranger on the internet. Come in with attitude, you're gonna get attitude back.
No, it is not attitude. He was asking a very relevant question. It is just that you could not answer him and you were trying to defend the indefensible. And you started stuttering.
There are way more feminine women whose YouTube channels that you can call into. You're welcome to do so. As for me and mine, this is how we're going to here. I've been calling in good faith, but this is
No, 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 no. Good faith or indoctrinated enough, subverted enough, brainwashed enough, who would treat you on a pedestal, who would pedestalize you. Well, because he brought out the Mr. Hyde out of you. That is why you think that attitude and all that. It is just your conniving behavior. We call it connivance over here, because the real monster masquerading as a feminine woman, actually that mask actually fell off for a while, and we could see the real perra loca puta madre of the world.
Somebody who like constantly who's like living alone with a cat. Okay, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna call in and try to tell me what's what after he's called me after in the chats, like or in the comments, like multiple times. Like what you talking about, right? My husband and he's like, he was able to swing it. I mean, he was 48 when I met him. You know what I mean? Like I'll take it from somebody like Wahlberger, who seems to be like a relatively attractive older man. I'll take it from him. One, obviously, I've already complimented him. My apologies, but you're not fat, okay? So I'm gonna pull you on.
And this simp and cuck is going to actually, oh, you're so good, real film sapien. This is the sad state of affairs. So the prediction made by MGTOW, like Spetsnaz back in 2015, has come to fruition. Anti-feminism would become the new feminism, and that is the case. It is the fourth wave feminism right now. Mr. Gray,
Hello. Actually,
hello.
while you were talking, that was really good talking. Uh, I
Yes,
did
sir.
look. Her channel is pretty new,
Uh huh.
and since I looked up, there's like a website that's called Social Blade, where you can look up the how much people are making, and the upper number was 140K for that channel. So
Uh huh.
I mean, it's an upper limit. It's not like an exact number, but maybe if you halve
Uh
it,
huh.
it's probably pretty realistic. And then, yeah. So she doesn't even have to listen to Iridium. She's probably feeling so important right now. Like, who's this guy? I'm the successful YouTube princess. I'm making all this money.
Well, that guy is making millions of that guy is making deal worth millions
Yeah,
of
but she
dollars
doesn't know. She doesn't
every
know that.
single day.
She doesn't. But she doesn't know that, right? So
Oh,
it
she
goes back to
doesn't
the.
know anything about anything.
Yeah, but she knows status. So if maybe, yeah, I mean, but the point was like, there was like a total communication breakdown.
Oh
Like,
yes. Oh yes.
and and to me, the reoccurring thing seems to be that these feministy women, that's a constant thing.
Oh yes.
Like, as opposed with me, maybe it's when I'm drinking, or maybe if I'm moody. So for me, I would say personally, it's if I have a communication breakdown, it's temporary. I can still see the light eventually if someone gives me feedback, if I'm open to it. But with her,
Well,
she looked like
here
pretty
is the
closed off.
here is the thing. She is not closed off. She has actually monkey branched. In case you don't know, she used to serve in the military. She was an E5. I mean, regarding the US Army rankings and whatnot. So she was an E5. Her husband, whom she married, was also an E5. Now, what happened? She, her husband had a superior, Ryan, the gentleman who goes by the name of Ryan. He is 51 right now. She met him when he was 48. And she actually monkey branched from one uh, man to another and married his superior. That
That
is
is
the
so
case.
that is so weird. That is so
Well,
weird.
that is not weird at all. It is just like a woman marrying her husband's boss, and he is still the boss in the army.
I mean, I'm talking from my perspective. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It is just that, look, she, sorry, women portray themselves to be some sort of a benign, roomy eyed, sort of a delicate little flower that needs to be protected and provided for in this bad, bad world. But then the real Mr. Hyde comes out of them. And that is the thing. The real Mr. Hyde actually came out. And I congratulate uh, the gentleman for doing that because she is keeping track of his channel. So it is just that most of these bastards wouldn't know that she would be throwing themselves up. She would be throwing herself up on Mr. Iridium again after monkey branching from her E7 current husband, because once she married an E5, then she married an E7. Well, who knows? A chemical engineer civilian who signs a deal for millions of dollars and has an MBA in finance seems more lucrative of an offer. It is just that Mr. Iridium is not going to do that.
Maybe that would be my hypothesis. Maybe if her YouTube channel keeps growing the way it grows right now, and then she makes more and more money uh, every every year, maybe she gets tired of the E5, looking for something even better that matches
No, she
her
is
ever
currently
growing
married
income.
to currently she is married to an E7.
Okay, I don't know these
Now, who
other.
yeah, she was earlier married to an E5. She was an E5 herself. She was in the military doing something other than fighting, like all of these pogs. And she, am I audible?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm surprised because like looking at the Social Blade, the channel grew really fast, really quick.
Well, what did Spetsnaz used to say? Anti feminism is going to become the new feminism. A woman
It's like
finds
what,
a lucrative
thir-
of.
thir-
Yes,
30, 37 million views, is that right? And she just started
yes,
less than a year ago.
yes,
That's insane.
yes. Even of all the
How's
people,
that even possible?
well, red pill content, red pill content actually does wonders for women who cannot do anything but be a lazy bum. whether it is just pearly things, whether it is uh, what is the name, uh, Roma's army, that thought of OnlyFans, anybody. It does wonders, man. Never underestimate the power of a pussy. That is the case. So that is why it is happening.
I'm at a loss for words.
Of course you are. Everyone else is because people don't want to participate in this hullabaloo. Neither do I. It is just that when I see people disrespecting nothing to them but just having an opinion over her opinionated opinion, then I feel bad. I very much respect that gentleman because he has more life experience than me. And that is what exactly my parents actually taught me, that you have to bow down to people who have a greater life experience than you. Apart from marriage and everything else, my mother gave me solid advice.
Yeah, I mean, you can take feedback two ways. I mean, you can be upset about it, or be try to ignore it or overtalk it, or you can maybe try to appreciate it for for maybe a valuable feedback. But she didn't do that. At
Why
least
would
that's
she
what I
do
saw.
that? She already has she already has 100,000 subscribers. She is at the top of her game, just like Roma's army or whatever, who talks about men's
But but
rights.
but in all fairness, sometimes I don't take criticism not good as well.
No, it is not about taking criticism good or taking it bad. It is all about not being condescending towards a person who is actually trying to shake you up and challenge your beliefs,
Mm,
especially if he has the numbers to back it up.
mm.
In this case, Mr. Iridium did have the numbers on his side. Only an ignorant looking foolish woman would negate that and say with a caveat, but, however, provided, and all these other garbage of words because she wants to throw a hissy fit.
Yeah, I think what they normally need to do is they have to trigger your emotions to confuse you, to get like it's like
Yes,
I always felt they want to see doubt in your mind, that you question your own reality.
exactly. That is why they say manifestation. Because if you would manifest according to them, it would become reality eventually, regardless of the fact that it's true or not.
That's why to me maybe it feels like an attack in some way. It's like almost like competitive. You know how she's argumentative, so so then maybe this being
I
argumentative.
mean, I mean, imagine if she is this. In front of the camera, what would she be? Behind the camera, just like that trad thought Tommy Lahren, of all people, who said that all men are trash and they are certainly not good in the Midwest. Red Ranger worked as a journalist in a radio show. He is from a conservative background. He also says that the people don't care about reinstating a family, restitution of conjugal rights, as they say. That is a sad state of affairs, but that is the reality, which I keep telling men. Please don't think that just because you have been able to acquire a woman, then it is somewhat of a telltale, a dead giveaway that she is never going to, leave you. Women leave anyways. I was telling good mother yesterday that there was a fitness instructor, and he was a gym trainer. His wife cheated on him with a homeless man, homeless, like the ones who are living on the street.
I don't
I
get it.
mean, imagine my shock, because that is, I mean, it is not that her husband was not desirable. He had 10 pack abs instead of having a six pack or an eight pack abs. He had 10 pack abs. But eventually, what happens is when a woman is allowed, she would always act on her instincts. That is why patriarchy was there, to actually provide a solution.
Hmm. I just know I saw like a lot of feminists that work in like financed by the government. These women who do the gender studies, and then they're I think with
Yes. Yes,
like
please,
the
please.
yeah, I sent with mother email last month about one particular lady that I saw that works
I
on
mean,
counter media project. She's a counter media expert or something, and it's like what is a
oh,
counter
yes.
media specialist? Basically, that's she's the project leader of some research project where she just analyzes. So I imagine they just sit in an office all day. They analyze what YouTube channels, what social media channels, what they call it counter media. They even called it, normally you say society. If you say society, it implies everybody. But they have like really their specialized language. Like there is society and then there is counter society. So already they are dividing. If you are in the mainstream, you are part of society. But if you're one of these content creators that creates like alternative quote unquote media, you belong to the counter society. And they are very interested in that counter society. They want to know what narratives are there. And then she writes like whole papers and analysis and presents it. And they profile all the channels.
Especially about smashing the patriarchy, isn't it? Why else would they be interested in anything
Uh,
about anything at
no,
all?
I think no. I haven't heard that much about patriarchy. I think they get some kind of brief. They have some kind of customer. They get some brief, probably government related, and then they have to In that sense, they focus it on that, but it's all the same mishmash. It's the same technique. They categorizing all the, whether it's vaccination, whether it's the war in Ukraine, whether it's patriarchy. It doesn't, the content doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter is, okay, what are the topics, and are they a counter narrative? And then they categorize, or what channels are there, what topics are they promoting, what reach do they have, da 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 da. And like, I know from the old East German Stasi tactics, it was always before you do anything operational, like neutralizing opposition or something, you always have to gather the data first. And scaringly,
Oh yes,
it's
you
scaring.
mean Stasi, meaning the secret police of
Yes.
Nazi regime,
Yeah,
isn't it?
of the East Germany, yeah, yeah. It's like a state, yeah.
I mean, the black shirts of Mussolini and the brown shirts, these were the brown shirts, isn't it? Who
the
would
thing,
read about the counterculture, the counter media, and all that crap.
the thing is, like, I don't understand what are they gonna do with that media, because, I mean,
Just
they're
like, and they are going to do this. They are going to negate it.
because, I mean,
Negating
Germany has
and
the G7 leadership, I think, right now, and they just had a conference, I think, with the German foreign minister, this Baerbock lady, and the Blinken guy, and they were somewhere on this event, several days in a hotel, and they made some speech. So although those are isolated events, I think there seems to be like a connecting line. You know how these individual think tanks, and then it's financed by the government, or it's a foundation, or they even had like a social corporation. They create a business, but it's not a normal business. You can incorporate as a social business, but then it's funded by the taxpayer money, and then they are connected to the State Center for Political Education. So it's all kind of this mishy-mashy. I can only assume they know themselves, create new jobs, and you could imagine that
yes.
some, yeah. And when they had the G7 event at this hotel with all these thought leaders, so to speak, there, and then as a crowning jewel, the German foreign minister and the Blinken guy, and they were, yeah, we have to really do something about this internet. There's so much going on, and we have to prevent democracy. So it's like this, yeah, we need to share more data and do something about it. That's actually very frightening, because you do
In
not
short, they
know.
don't want. In
Yeah,
short, they
please.
don't want people like you and me to have an opinion, isn't it?
A voice. I mean, I'm afraid that is what it can turn to. Yeah. If they use language like that, I mean, let me quickly look out the email that because like what was so stunning to me is like, I saw in German they had like an online thing where they were talking, and there's this lady. I mean, I looked her up. She did this gender studies nonsense or whatever. They have like a really, I mean, you can see in the language that a person uses, whether if the language is already geared at, okay, this is group A, this is group B, and this is like a target, or counter media, counter this and that. Let me quickly look up the email. They used specific vocabulary, and that's what's puzzling me so much. I listed that. Yeah. the event was, for example, called "The Future of Democracy in a Digital World."
Oh, yes, because information is the weapon of the warfare instead of anything else today, in this day and age.
So, and then is the question: are they I mean, they have these labels like counter media creator, or spreading anti-democratic positions, promoting radicalization, spreading pro dot 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 propaganda, dividing society. Maybe you're a truth denialist, you deny the truth, or maybe you're spreading conspiracy theories. Maybe you are participating in spreading disinformation. Maybe your talking points are damaging to to democracy. Yeah, and the lady was really of the opinion that I mean, first of all, the internet, for example, my take is that the internet is just like a data system for information storage and retrieval and so on. But they frame it as the society, the counter society, and then the counter media creators. They are utilizing the internet as a so-called radicalization machine. And because they are abusing the internet as radicalization machine, it's dangerous to freedom. And that's why something has to be done about it. And I think Blinken said we need to put in place the rules, whatever that means. Yeah. So
Meaning censorship for the peasants like you and me.
could
We
be,
already
yes.
don't have any voice at all.
Could be, yes, yes.
Not could be, it is certainly that is the case. Because they want to have all the benefits, all the amenities, and all the wherewithal on their side. They don't want a man to have that very same level of, shall we say,
Like I think one word that was tossed around in Germany a while back was like Deutungshoheit, meaning translating as something like let's say there is something, and then it's the authority to interpret what it actually means. So I think that's what they want. They want to have this authority to interpret what something has to mean. And of course, if you have a different opinion on it, that's colliding. Because that takes away from their ability to determine what something is. So, yeah, I mean, but it's crazy to see people being paid full time. Gender studies, women being paid full time to do these kind of prep jobs, gathering all the data. They do it quite diligently, I'm afraid.
oh yes, they do their due diligence because that is what they are capable of.
It's crazy. And what else did I see? I did. Then I did see a woman who does city planning. Woman, also in some government foundation, and that was also funny because like we have like a real shortage of real estate. Real estate is so expensive. Land is not zoned for or in very insufficient quantities, and apartments are scarce or very too expensive. Very low vacancy rates. Maybe where I live, 2% vacancy rates, and the 2% that are vacant, either it's probably a very bad apartment or property, or it's like really high-end luxury. And then I saw that lady, that real estate zoning queen, and she was like, "Oh, we're zoning too much. It's really bad. We should really stop all the zoning. Single-family homes are bad for the environment." And what was her solution? I mean, for me as a dude, I would just like, dude, just there is enough land. Just zone more. Let the people build. But she actively wants to prevent that. And her solution was that I just, if you have existing buildings, just put a floor on top. Are you kidding
Yes.
me?
Look, the thing is, women want to make office as their home. That is the case. As women again, I don't know why they do that, but they don't treat a workplace like a workplace. They treat it like a home. I don't know what it does to them, what kick they get out of it, but
I just, when I see or hear these things, I very, very often find myself fundamentally disagreeing with their positions. It's like literally the opposite. So they want to stop zoning and stop building single family homes. I just like, there's enough land, zone more, then it's more affordable. There's enough space. It's not like we're in Japan where you have mountains everywhere. Right? So Germany is like relatively flat in a lot of spaces. They could build a lot. It just doesn't make sense. It's the same with the migration policies. The open borders, everybody can come, everybody is cared for. I mean, people from India are coming. India, Pakistan, from everywhere. And
all are refugees, isn't it? All are refugees.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I was really thinking maybe Bandit has a point with this hiding in plain sight. Because, I mean, I don't want to have a target painted on my back and have these mad people come after me. I mean, let's say with the video that you showed, where like you couldn't talk to her, and the people in the comments, including guys, were applauding her.
Because
Would you
that is
say
the case. That is exactly the case with these women. Because they think that they would be able to get away with adventurism every time. Because they think that they are winning just because they were able to acquire an E7.
But can you imagine, let's say, for example, theoretically, I would work in a government office and there were these feminists. If I had a different point of view, if I say, oh, immigration is bad, or no, you're totally wrong, you should zone more, then she would probably totally not listen to me, and we had some simpy dudes clapping, and I would have pointed myself a target on the back. So I have
Oh, yes,
to
certainly.
stay quiet, otherwise I'm in trouble.
Oh, yes. We totally are living in a feminazi world, and I do not dispute the fact. There would be others who would dispute the fact. I don't dispute the fact. Regardless of religion, regardless of anything, we are living in a feminist world. That is why I kept the title at the rate Real Femme Sapien, a woman lecturing men to get married and bypass the draconian laws of the plantation. And she herself, if you would have listened to her rambling on and on about average marriage, she is not an average styled hooker. She is a prostitute of the highest level. That is why she monkey branched and now call it as love. Did you read the book of Esther Villar, The Manipulated Man?
No,
Dressidarte Men?
no. I just listened to some old radio interviews when she was on the radio. And I read that Esther Villa actually was attacked at the library when she by angry feminists back in the day.
In 70s, because she spilled the beans, she gave away the real female nature. What other reason would be as to why she was attacked?
Yeah, I think the feminists were angry at her for messing it up for them. So they wanted revenge. I think they attacked her when she went to the bathroom. Go figure that one out.
They thought at least no one would be able to know about that fact. Esther
And
Villar.
and the insane and the insane
Let
thing,
me just write. Yeah, please.
when I was listening to this Esther Villa interview, since it was a radio interview, even back in the day, they had like this call-in shows. So you had actually German women, like traditional women, calling in, being curious and inquisitive, and in that process, these older women, uh, they seem to act a little. I think I remember one particular woman. She acted confused because it's like, well, we have 4 children. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. she was the woman was waking up the first in the household, making food for the kids and the husband, uh, sending them off to school, going to work herself, coming home. So she was like super busy. Lots of children, super busy, and she was just confused by what Esther Villa was talking about because she was like in this older mindset still,
Yes.
totally different to what we see today. So that was coincidental. Like, so I can only imagine how much the society must have shifted since back then. Like after World War
Oh,
II,
yes. Oh,
totally
yes.
different. The people that roll totally different. I'm just like, wow. And I'm afraid even I'm way too pampered for all of this. I mean, it's the curse of
I mean,
living in a
we
wealthy
are
country.
getting too old for all of this. I mean, nonsense. We cannot do that.
We cannot do what?
We cannot do the pampering.
Hmm.
Those days of pampering a woman are over. And here comes the psychology expert.
It's the fucking good again. Hey guys, Happy New Year, Contriver and Grey.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year, sir.
I just noticed that
May the Creator bestow upon you health, wealth, and prosperity.
well, I think I'll have to accept that blessing because the way things are at the moment, I have a lot of things breaking down on me. So a lot of I expect bills to be paid soon. Yeah, I'm a bit stressed out actually. So I can't be here very long. My kid was having a bit of a meltdown, but she's now exhausted. So this has given me a chance to well, she's exhausted me as well. So it gives me a chance to the two of us to calm down a bit. But I'll just pop on because I just wanted to ramble a little bit, I suppose. I noticed you got 99 subscribers, Contriver. So someone out there, please get Contriver to that 100, that big 100. And I don't know, subscribe to Grey as well, obviously. I don't know what your count is. Not that it should matter, but heck.
Well, first of all, people need to subscribe to Mr. Billy the Goat because he is literally the greatest of all times when it comes to psychoanalyzing anything regarding anything. And
Well,
this is one issue which he is very passionate about, and I am very passionate about listening to him in
I'm not the
general.
greatest. I'm not the greatest, but
I mean,
uh,
according
I
to
will.
me,
I will put a feather in my own cap if I can brag, because Richard Grannon gets hailed as, you know, like the man in this sort of psychological field,
yes, yes,
and
yes,
he came out with a video fairly recently, I think in the past week, talking about like 3 facts that are never apparently never discussed. But it was like, excuse me, I did a video before discussing the exact points he was bringing up, so that kind of puts me on a par with Richard Grannon. I felt, not that it matters, but it's like at least it means in my mind it's like, yeah, I am talking a bit about stuff that he feels is pertinent and areas that haven't been touched upon. So it's like, hey, I'm in uncharted territory in a way. In a way, it's no biggie, but it's just like, yeah, I'm not. It's just a bit of a confirmation. It's like, yeah, I'm not a complete. Just talking out my backside basically, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Which brings us on to this fem sapien thing. Now, I won't be able to have the time to
yes.
discuss it right here, right now. This is basically just a coffee break for me. But I have watched Cush's coverage of it, and I noticed that he was followed up on Good Mothers. And unfortunately, I was trying to listen to you earlier, but I wasn't able to. So I'll have to play back and get your points on it. But I have my own 2 cents I'd like to offer to the table, and break it down. Because I think there are some interesting points I could bring up. I don't know. Maybe you might have already covered it. Let's just say it doesn't really work in her favor, and has a backfiring effect, as per pattern of behaviors usually do. I mean, the thing is, I don't really know her backstory either, so I'm just taking it as a isolated video. You know, the first time I've ever really actually listened to her.
But if I may ask, what do you make of this habit of people clapping her? Because like in the comment sections, a lot of people were like, "Oh, the guy just came on. He was so rude. Like this, you go, girl. You. What do you make of that? Where does this behavior come from?"
Well, you got they're naive, gullible fools. They don't know what they're doing, really. So in some ways, I mean, that is a good point you're bringing up. In some ways, I mean, fem sapien is, you know, she's putting out the opposite intended message. She's actually making it more like she's giving more reasons not to get married. If you actually listen closely to what she's saying, she's giving you reasons not to get married. But as her followers and supporters, yeah, they're the ones who are more problematic in a way, because they're like the mindless zombies that will just sign off on things. So that they're really, as much as fem sapien might be a bit of a problem or a grifter or a chameleon. I mean, once you see through the performance and the mask and the facade and all this, she's got no power. It's the magician has revealed their trick in a way, but it's the people clapping and supporting it who are so naive and impressionable who are the real dangers. That's why stupid people, and I mean this not in a condescending, like you're like a derogatory kind of way. I mean in the category of stupidity. They're the most dangerous type of person, because they're unpredictable, they're uncontrollable, they're unreasonable. At least with fem sapien, you can't really say she falls and she's a bit absent-minded or whatever. She doesn't realize what she's doing, but she's conniving. So you can't. She's a step above that. Well, she might still be in the category of stupidity, but at least she's a step above it, or a step above her followers, who are even more, because they're gullible and naive, you know.
maybe a question for Contriver. So when on her channel page it says "Good girls get the ring," do you think she is mainly targeting like women that want
Oh,
to?
no. She's just flaunting it out on the rest of the people, especially men, that look at me, I am a good girl, being
Yeah.
a total attention whore. And
Yes.
she is saying that I have monkey branched successfully and this could be your future. So she's simultaneously selling to women as well as men who think that this is how everything should be.
Yeah. She's not using the word good in the way that you're probably thinking, like well behaved,
Oh, yes.
disciplined, well managed. She means good as in like I've successfully manipulated and got away with things. So it's like good girls translates like good girls get the ring translates to like if you pretend to be a good girl, if you act as if you're a good
Exactly.
girl, you will get the ring.
Ouch, ouch,
It is a make believe.
very dangerous.
It is make believe, basically. Basically, it is make believe. And good girls get the ring means the ones who could get away with adventurism scot free.
Yeah. So it's also like so what does playing good entail? Right. So it'd be like, okay, so pretend to smile, pretend to be nice, pretend to be pleasant. Um, take all this sort of stuff that you would associate with being good, pretend to have morals, pretend to have ethics, and pass it off as if it's genuine.
Exactly.
But
Doesn't
wasn't
mean
like
And
you're
that
actually
is
good.
certainly not the case.
but
Yes.
wasn't like one argument that that's like problematic because you pretending something that you aren't, that creates stress further down the road because you can only do it for so long, something like that.
Yeah. Well,
I
yes,
mean,
but
technically,
then
you only have to pretend until you have the ring, right?
they got that motto sort of like fake it until you make it. But even then, it's not the real article. I mean, yeah, it becomes a problem, but they'd rather invest in the skills of manipulation and con artistry than actually being the real thing.
Which makes me think, I, how is this with actors? You know, sometimes actors also they play roles, but how do I phrase it as a question? Sometimes if you act the behavior, isn't it that the behavior can that you get so used to this acting that it kind of like melts, that at some point you don't act anymore, you actually become what you're acting.
There was an actor who had to get therapy after their acting role because they kind of like lost their identity, and that I suppose can happen from time to time with actors. It's like, who am I? I've been, especially if they're a method actor. But let's say you're acting and you're pretending to be Superman. You cast a role for Superman, and then you try and take your acting persona and apply it to real life, and then you jump off a building thinking you could fly. Is it going to work? Nah. You try and stop a speeding bullet. No. So it doesn't mean they don't try it. You might have maybe someone who did an acting role as a bank robber or something like that, and then in real life they thought they could actually pull it off, but even then, chances are they get foiled and arrested. It just shows you the level of arrogance, thinking that you can take something that's from the realm of fantasy and overlay it into reality, and it's going to be successful.
Yeah, maybe I thought more like acting, maybe in a sense of modeling behavior.
But in terms of like feminists and the female trying to take advantage, I mean, you use the sort of slogan "Be a good girl, you get the ring." That's not going to work in their favor. They're going to look at it and be like, well, that sounds like slavery to me. That sounds like submission. But if I have to pretend to get my way, then so be it, I suppose. But it just shows you that in time, there'll probably be more, what was the word I was using in the stream? Disgruntled. Because they're having to, like, look what I have to do just to get away with what I want. Just give it to me. I'm entitled to it. That's another element. It's like, you know, if I've played the good role, so where's my ring, damn it? Like, whoa. Just because you played a good role doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get married or get a ring. You know, how about just being good for the sake of being good? Don't tell me I have to bribe you in order to be good. And that was one of her points in the talk, where she's like, if she's married, she might treat you nicer. It's like, whoa. You're telling me like she's not going to treat me with decency before marriage? I have to marry her for her to treat me decent. And even then, it's a gamble, like the way she was suggesting. Like if you're lucky, she might actually care about you and things like that. You know, and she used the word pride, like marriage, because the reason why she'll treat you better is because the idea of marriage would give her a sense of pride or something like that. So it's like, these are bad reasons to get married. So if you got a girlfriend, instead of her just treating you with decency and being nice to you, you're going to have to marry her and hope that she feels pride before she's going to be nice to you. And pride in the sense of like, what? Because you're married, you're like a show off now? Like, look at me. I feel better about myself because I'm married. It's like, these are wrong. These are bad reasons to get married. Why can't you have pride about the marriage?
And then she had the audacity to actually analyze Mr. Iridium, that you are not marriageable. You don't look as good. Well, darling, after 25, a woman, rots like spilled milk. You don't know that you are also going to get old someday,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
because
a
they are
low
all
blow.
about living in the moment,
It's
living in the present. They don't think about the future.
not only is it a slap to at Iridium, but let's say he were to get married, he has a wife he's engaged to. It would be an insult to his future wife as well. Be like, what did you just say about my husband? So she's just making remarks just for the sake of trying to upset him. And that shows you the viciousness of the female nature, where she's not even thinking properly, and she's just like, you got a small dick, basically, you know, you're on whatever, and just trying to cause an injury, inflict some pain and damage, passive aggressiveness, and pretend afterwards, if I recall, pretend like, what was wrong with what I said? You know, like, oh, you're not marriage material. What's wrong with that? It's like, what do you mean what's wrong with that? You've got no sort of decor about you. You vile, malvy, female.
Yeah, I'm afraid when it comes to the red pill knowledge spreading, even being a good girl is not going to cut it anymore.
Yeah, and there's her slogan: "Be a good girl, we're gonna get her ring." Like, she can't even be a good girl to her guest. What makes you think she's a good girl to her husband? I mean, poor dude. He's probably got a lump in his throat.
Ex-husband,
current husband. I don't know.
ex-husband. Yes,
I mean, if he
ex-husband as well. She was in the U.S. Army, Mr. Billy. She was in the U.S. Army. She was an E5. Her husband was an E5. Her husband had an immediate superior who was an E7, and
I don't know what
she
this E5.
literally monkey branched. And okay, there are like captain, major, colonel, brigadier. There are many ranks which are denoted by some E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10, whatever. So she was an E5, a medium range or a petty officer level. She met her husband, who was also of the same rank in the military. He had an immediate superior who was an E7. So naturally, it is a bigger rank or a higher rank than her husband. So she monkey branched and
Okay.
married that chap
Well,
who
well,
was the
the
immediate superior of even to till date of her
yeah.
ex-husband.
Well, the ex-husband in a way is free now, so he can count his lucky stars. Hopefully, like he's recovered and all this sort of stuff. But if he's out the picture, I mean, he doesn't have to put up with her, so that's a weight off his chest to some degree. But it's the current husband that is in a pickle now. And if he were to be watching that stream of her trying to promote marriage, if he's got any sense about him, and particularly if he's actually a higher ranking officer, then he should, well, it should be a bit of a wake up call to him, unless he's so in the fantasy and deluded and in the emotions that he just, it just wave over his head and he's just oblivious to the viper in its pit. Because like, all right, look, hold on a second. I'm not sure how much more time I've got because I don't want to leave my kid too long. I'll try and fly through my points, but at some point later on, I'll go into it a bit more detail. So when Iridium asked what's the incentive to marry, she didn't actually give him her own answer. She said something like, I asked my husband that. And then it says, like, there is no incentive. So translation, there is no incentive means I ain't going to do shit. You know, you're going to marry me? Well, great. That's wonderful. But don't expect me to do anything. So that's already like a, not only is it, you know, case closed with there is no incentive, but she's admitting that she's not actually going to do her part in the marriage. What has she got to do? There's no obligation or responsibility. And you'll notice throughout the thing as well, she's never accepted any responsibility or accountability. So she blames it on the husband. You know, I asked him what the incentive is. So what does that mean? It means that he has to create a reason why he's marrying her. That is super manipulative. That is because then the burden of blame of why you're in the relationship is not her doing. She could wipe her hands clean and be like, I didn't promise you anything. You're the one that came up with the reason to marry me. So she's blaming her husband there. Right off the get-go, she's saying he's the one that's got to come up with the reason, the incentive, and it's going to be his fault that he's in this situation. And if things go south at my whim because I choose, because I don't feel pride or whatever, well, that's his fault for believing in this fairy tale. I didn't give him the fairy tale. He made it up. So this is his responsibility and fault.
But why? But why doesn't she want the responsibility?
Why does it? Say that again, Gray?
Why doesn't she want the responsibility? I mean, sure, sometimes I don't want the responsibility. I don't always want responsibility, but if you
Well,
if
she's
you are with
suggesting that it's like, look, I might. It's like, okay, Gray, I want $1,000, right,
yes,
from you, but that's like her saying, I want to get married.
okay,
Now it's up to you. You might turn to me and say, Billy, why should I give you $1,000? And I'll say, I don't know. There's no incentive for you to do it. Why don't you think of a reason why you should give me $1,000? And then you go, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And you give me $1,000. Who's the muppet in the situation? It'll be you, because you came up with the reason. I didn't even give you one. You came up with the reason to give me $1,000, and now I've taken it. So that's what she's doing there. So she doesn't want the responsibility of this guy choosing to marry her.
Like a power transfer.
It's a roundabout. It's a backwards way of doing some con artistry. So if the marriage falls flat, or if anyone were to question him and be like, or question her, like, why the hell did you get married? She could be like, well, it's nothing to do, like, I might have suggested it, but he didn't have to do it. And she makes a remark about, like, look, some people don't want to get married, it's up to them. But she didn't really do that with him. She made him have to come up with a reason to want to get married. And his reason was because I thought it would make you happy. So he's not even getting married for his sake. He's doing it to make her happy. And in a return, in a way, if she's happy, then I could be like happy wife, happy life sort of thing. But that's a bad reason to get married. So it's conniving. It's very deceitful, and a snidey way of getting what you want without seeming to actually say what it without being upfront and honest. And
But
then
it's not something bad to want to make somebody happy. I mean, the question is, I mean, what that entails. Yeah.
not entirely. It's not too bad to want to make her happy, but he's not making him. He's got no reason of his own for wanting to get married, other than, according to her, other than to make her happy. It's what she wants. Well, that'd be like going back to this $1,000 thing. So you got no reason to give me $1,000 other than I want the $1,000. That doesn't really mean
Well,
you
but
should
it
give me the
could
money.
be the. I mean, I mean, I could make reasons up. Maybe if I give you $1,000, you're
To make me happy. So then I
joyful.
say,
Maybe you are joyful and happy, and I see the smile in your face, and then of course.
but she's going to withhold that because of this other element later on with the pride, I think. Because like, you might give me $1,000 hoping to make me happy, which thank you very much, Gray. You make me very happy, and you're like, I feel better about myself because now
Yes.
Billy's happy.
Yes, exactly.
Now, what if I'm not happy? Are you going to give me $2,000? So he's having a gamble, and she alludes to gambling as well. How this is all like Russian roulette in the end. If you're lucky, she describes like, if you're lucky, you'll meet a woman who will look after you in your old age, who'll give you children, and who will be nice to you, and all this, rub your feet. And it's like, are you this woman? Because you're talking about someone who potentially doesn't exist. If you're lucky,
fantasy,
it's like, so you're telling me I have to marry someone, and fingers crossed she isn't a vampire. And you don't even describe. See, if she wanted to say something in her favor, she should have said something like how she does this to her husband, because she doesn't allude to any of that. She doesn't say that she's nice to her husband and that she does any of this stuff. She just describes some person that's not even present. If you're lucky, you might, whoever gets married, maybe they might find someone who will care for them when they're old, in their old age, but not me.
This sounds so complicated.
So she's benefiting from this whole arrangement, and it is an arrangement she's made, taking no accountability or responsibility or blame, and she's also simultaneously saying like, look, I'm not going to put any effort into this marriage. You better hope that I feel pride, my self-esteem goes up. Otherwise, for your sake, I'm not going to treat you any better than if I was your girlfriend. And the only reason why I might be treating you better, you better be grateful if I do, is because you married me, and I feel gracious enough to treat you better. So it's not even like, you're not even treating me better because I'm a human being. It's because of what I did. I gave you a ring, and this made you have pride. And in turn, that's why I'm getting preferential treatment now.
It's like this
So I mean,
conditional.
realistically, she might do some nice things for him, but it's not because she particularly wants to or that he deserves it. It's just so that he keeps his mouth shut and doesn't complain. I mean, like Contriver said, she's already left one husband.
But
So,
see,
like,
then I
using that,
would interpret this as, she does something nice for me. I mean, maybe I would tell that to myself again.
yeah. So, like, use that example. Like, so I'd say Contriver, Gray, give me $1,000, and if you're lucky, I'll say thank you. With your hopes up, no, I say give me $1,000, please, maybe if you're lucky, and you go why, and I go, well, you think of a reason, and then you say, maybe Billy will say thank you, and that'll make me feel better, and I'll go, oh, if you're lucky, I'll say thank you. So you give me $1,000, and I'll go, okay, all right, I'll give you a thanks for now. And then I'm like, I expect you to give me some. Not only have I taken your money now, but I expect you to make me actually feel great. So although I say thanks, I want you to say, "Hey, Billy, you're amazing. Yeah, you really do deserve that $1,000." So you're gonna, instead of you being happy out of it, now you're the one trying to make me feel even more happy and give me pride. Never mind if you feel like you have pride; it's about her having pride.
Sounds like a very weird, unhealthy dynamic.
Yeah, and I've got the expectation of you to do things in this marriage, but don't expect me to do anything in this
This
transaction.
one-way street,
Yeah,
street relationship.
be like, Gray, you'll be lucky if I even acknowledge you tomorrow, kind of thing. And if I do, you better count your lucky stars. I mean, by this point, we would be married, Billy and Gray, with our ceremony. And then she also says, like, marriage is the biggest self-improvement you'll ever take. Now, what this means, because if the husband is the one that's boosting up her status and self-esteem and giving her this pride, then really he is the one improving her sense of self.
Her. Exactly.
Her sense of self, right? So it's not really her doing any work in self-improvement. He's the one doing the work in her self-improvement.
I mean, that's
And this is why it's the biggest challenge. This is why it's the biggest challenge, because what's greater than sacrificing yourself to make her feel better? So that's why. So and the caveat there is, whilst you sacrifice yourself, you should feel honored in a way, because this will be life's biggest challenge. Life's biggest challenge is to make me happy. I feel good and proud about that. It's not everyone or anyone I let do that for me. Well, I had an ex-husband I tried that with, but you're in a privileged position, Gray, being my servant and my slave and my sacrifice. So don't, so it's encouraging you. It's reeling you in even more to sacrifice in my honor. And that's like what the chat room and the supporters and followers are semi-doing, because
cheering it on.
They're cheering on their abuse, yeah. And she's like saying, like, don't feel like I'm taking you for a mug here. No. You should be you should be happy. You should be happy for me. Don't you feel happy for me? You see what I mean? It's just like you're sick. It's like, these people, like, maybe to give that $1,000 to me, maybe you've had to take out a loan or sell some of your belongings to make me happy. And it's like, no, don't feel miserable or any of this. No, it's for me. It's for a good cause. Don't you see?
Or even perhaps he might have to sell his own kidney.
Right.
But
Something like. So you might have to say goodbye to your family,
coming
your
back
friends.
She was always using the word predicate. Now, what the hell does that have to do with anything? What she was trying to say? I mean, it would be more like prevaricating rather than predicating.
I don't know if she was trying to reach for a different word and it just didn't come to her mind. A word that might have been more suited for what she was trying to say.
Yes,
I'm struggling to
she
think of
might
it. Right now.
be.
Like she was trying to say,
I
like,
mean, she
provide.
might be saying predicted.
Well, there's plenty of ways you could say it. I mean, if I recall, she was saying like provided she's not
Provided or
a
something
narcissist
of
or
English.
a crazy witch. Yeah. So
Yeah,
or
but this is the
as long
level.
as she's not one of these wackos, So she doesn't have to use a fancy word.
Oh yes, because she has to, portray herself as an intellectual, and she actually used a totally different word, predicate. It doesn't mean anything. It is just a verb which is used in a sentence. I mean, she might be using provided or predicted, but she used predicate. That is why I said you are prevaricating. You should say prevaricate.
But isn't that essentially what she was doing? She
Again,
was
this is the
she was
level of
It could be a little bit of subconscious leaking out.
because she was constantly
yes,
predicating things about Iridium.
Yeah. So her intentions are like, I'm gonna
She determines
torture
what's
you.
true and what's not.
Oh yeah, like the remarks about the statistics, and there's a back and forth with numbers. It's like bafu. It doesn't even matter. Is basically what she's saying. Statistics don't matter. The numbers, the figures are unreliable, and thus we can't. So she discredits stats. So if the numbers are false, then this whole point about statistics is false. It doesn't belong in this conversation, so don't even bother bring it up, kind of thing. It's like, whoa, what? So,
no,
so
no. She even said it's just 8%, just as if it is trying to justify the 80%.
yeah, but she throws some back like 65 to 90 or whatever, but she's moving the goalposts so that like in between the lines of her dialogue, she's kind of suggesting that like, look, we can't take these numbers for granted or guaranteed. They're not accurate, so they're not really. We cannot factor them in with this. And of course, like you look at her intention. She doesn't want to like factor in this stuff, so she's in a generalized way is like discrediting it, pushing it aside. They're not going to be part of our assessment. And don't forget, hey, get married. So it's like
Yes.
it's like I'm trying to steal money from Gray, and then Contriver comes along and says, Gray, think about what you're doing. And then I say, no, don't listen to Contriver, Gray. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Contriver has to say. Just give me the $1,000.
You know what? In the previous streams that you guys did, what really was really upsetting is when Bandit was theorizing about when the society collapse progresses. His theory was the government will allocate men to women or something like this.
Lascivious.
That was really that was crazy, man.
What would be funny is if the government tries to do that, and then men are like, no, we're good, thanks. Please don't. I don't want to be allocated
No,
anymore.
bachelor tax. Look, from our taxpayers' money, bachelor tax is already there. It already exists. I would tell you how. If your taxes are increased by 1%, even 1%, if your tax bracket is increased by 1%, what happens is that money of 1% actually goes directly to public housing for women, or female shelters for domestic violence survivors, or some of the vocational training skills that would have to be imparted to women to bring them back into the market, and the articles made by them would be made available in the market regarding pottery design or whatever skills they used to have. Now it is not the case anymore. Now they demand everything, and they want to have a lavish, lascivious lifestyle where they would be the ones in charge of everything instead of the husband.
It's
The
not
husband
sustainable.
just has to be a bumbling idiot, a literal buffoon.
See, in the past, the way it would work with predatory type people is there would only be a handful of victims, as it were. But because they're trying to make every single man a victim, so there's a depletion right across the board. That's not good for predatory business. Um, Normally, what would happen
Well, look,
in the past, they would abuse
look,
someone
what
and then move on.
yes, but the thing
But who are they going to
is,
move on to
look,
with the next guy
as
being
we both
a driver? It was roboting a little bit. Are you
yes,
there?
yes, I'm listening. Yes, I'm listening.
Sorry, what is your point?
My point is that somehow I know for a fact that these sort of individuals actually know for a fact that uh, they don't know as to what they are saying and doing. She
Yeah,
already
well,
said she doesn't want an average marriage. Women are solipsistic by nature. That is okay. That is fine with me. But these I have actually come to a realization, and I want to share it with you two gentlemen over here. The realization is that these people who think that how an average man could be empowered and strengthened so that we would have much more cannon fodder and much more sperm donors on our side as insignia of a nascent virile civilization, culture, religion, call it what you will. What happens is it could only happen when the laws or the environment in which they are able to exercise on their masculine instincts. If they are not able to do that, such depressed and downhearted that they are eventually going to give up, and then the civilization would be disintegrated. This we have seen in the case of uh, the erstwhile Roman Empire. We have seen in the case of Indian subcontinent and the Islamic invasion. We have seen in the case of n number of factors that we don't want to look at, and we always have to turn a Nelson's eye towards the
Yeah.
problem, the elephant in the room, which we cannot address. That is the draconian laws. You take away the draconian laws today, men would be, men would set right the woman that is living with them. My house,
Mm.
my rules. You cannot go outside of this house unless and until I say so. And that is why we all these people have this notion of barefoot and pregnant, as if it is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Barefoot and pregnant is a bad thing according to them. They look at themselves. In fact, they hate their own femininity.
Well, yeah, that getting deep. I was gonna throw in a point that previously it was a much more symbiotic kind of relationship. If they wanted to flourish into the future, the women, then they should recognize that we need men also to be privileged or whatever, like to have benefits as well, because this is not going to be good. So from a symbiotic relationship where both sides can flourish, it's turned into a parasitic dynamic. And now, because it's like past the point of no return, it's almost like, well, sod it, we can't really get symbiotic relationship anymore. We might as well just carry on being leeches and just suck out every bit we can while we can, and then just enjoy this inferno roller coaster to hell while it's still good. It's like, well, that's why it's kind of gaining speed as well. But like you say, the self hatred is a massive component as to why this whole train wreck even got started in a way. So yeah, despite them saying girl power and female liberation and all this, they really do. I mean, it's one thing they say that men hate women, but women hate women the most. It would seem they hate the idea of the nuclear family. They hate the idea of motherhood. They hate the idea of femininity. It's all about now exploitation, sacrifice, and slavery, and entitlement. And they don't care. They might even recognize that it's happening, but it's like, well, I ain't gonna change it. I still want the to live it up and just ruin not just my own life but everyone else's life. Like, why should anyone else be happy if I'm not? So it's a very selfish, and you see that as well being an element, very selfishly driven motivations for doing things. They might unite together, pretend to be sisterhood and all this, but they're all backstabbers and individual, like solipsism as well, and individualistic, hedonistic, and just out for their own self gratification. At the expense of fundamentally the world, and they'll never be happy, even if they got what they wanted. But that doesn't really matter at this point to them. They're like, sod it, I don't even care. I'm just basically like a junkie for dopamine, and as long as I just feel good and not have to face reality, then all the more the better. Because that's another thing to throw in, is that all these movements and progressions and policies and all this, you'll notice that it's stepping away from realism or being ground to earth. They are intentionally wanting to become more delusional and fanatical. Is that the word? Fanatical fantasy. They're stepping into fantasy. So the obscene, ludicrous kind of demands on the table, or demands being made, are just out of this ballpark. It's just like you are psychotic to expect this and to pretend that you're sane, like this is reasonable or even possible at this point. You must be completely demented. And women that take you seriously, I don't know who's more demented, us or them. Well, when I say us, I mean like wider society for accepting it. That's why, like what Gray was saying with the supporters and followers. It's like who's more on this level of, on the spectrum of stupidity? Who's more stupid, fem sapien or the supporters and followers? Well, unfortunately, it'd be the supporters.
I
and
would say
followers.
the followers.
Yeah, they're
I would
the
say the
more
followers.
stupid. So they're the more delusional. As much as delusionally minded fem sapien might be, believing in her own crap, her followers are even worse.
Oh yes, they would pedestalize her. I
And
mean,
you could like extrapolate that
we
into the wider community with feminists. It's like, as much as a pain in the backside feminists are, who's more worse? Is it them or the ones in support of it? And unfortunately, it'd be the ones in support of it.
those the ones who facilitate that
Yeah.
sort of pedestalization.
But with
It's
that,
like
gentlemen,
I
I'm gonna have to jump off. I'm sorry, I'm
okay.
afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
Duties call.
It's fine. It's
But
fine. Let us end the broadcast right away. It is 1:11 a.m. over here. That much of a long evening for me as well. So I might have to drop off.
Have a good night, Controver. Good sleep.
Thank you,
okay,
gentlemen.
great.
And
Good night.
congratulations for the remarriage. Right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. A happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New
Yes, happy
Year.
New Year again. Yes.
2023 indeed comes bearing gifts. All right.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
gentlemen, in the chat.
And Gray, you're not allowed a prenup.
And
Yeah.
all right.
Take care.